The whole idea of a prophecy has always been interesting to me. The fact that you can just will something into existence, whether it's the Messiah, whether it's war, whether it's even flying cars at some point. But having spent the majority of my time working with and studying elite performers, I've come to understand the idea of a prophecy in a different way. It's not something that comes from the outside or from something external. It's simply a strong belief that you hold inside yourself, or that is held in a group of people. It's a belief that holds so much conviction in that person or group of people that over a long enough time period, it has no other choice but to materialize and to happen. So if you take religion or scripture, for example, they talk a lot about the idea of a prophecy. I went to a place this Sunday called Speaker's Corner, and it's where people come and gather and debate, whether it's Christians, whether it's Muslims, whether it's Jews, even political parties at the EDL. And whilst I was standing there watching them attack each other personally,
we have been there, we have seen it.
You have a Quran. That's exactly what it means. You are reading an Afro.
I came to realize that the people that were standing there had so much conviction in what they were saying, and their belief was right, that all of their actions were downstream from that intention. So it occurred to me that no matter what was written in the books, that over a long enough time period, if people believed it strong enough and their actions were dictated by that initial belief, then it would probably materialize because of that conviction they've carried inside of themselves for thousands of years. And this is not to discredit any religion or any prophecy, by the way, it's just an observation. I just believe that collective consciousness and energy directed towards an intention increases the chances of bringing it into reality. But its strength is tenfold when a group of people believe. I think Jesus even states in Matthew 4, when two or more are gathered in my name, I am there in the midst of them. And that points to the collective power when believers gather together. See, a prophecy begins in the mind and then it is held in the heart of those who follow it. And eventually, when it does materialize, it strengthens that initial belief that they had. And that is what becomes prophetic tradition. That's just the flywheel. But you might be thinking, how does that apply to my everyday life? Well, religion aside, we are all walking self-fulfilling prophecies and we probably don't even realize it. The intentions that we have for ourselves in our minds and our hearts, even if they're unconscious, are directing our lives. Even failure in what it is that you're doing is a prophecy fulfilled, because somewhere deep down, you probably don't believe that you were worthy of that thing, which is why it's so important to become aware of the programming and the narratives that you are telling yourself. Carl Jung famously said that if you don't make the unconscious conscious, then it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Meaning the deep-rooted intrinsic beliefs you hold about yourself, even the ones you don't know about, are silently guiding and directing your life and your actions, and therefore your circumstances. So you are a result of your programming, but very few do the work to change that. Basically, your programming is your prophecy. And when you look at it that way, it's actually a little bit scarier because you don't know what you're programmed with. Do you know why some people appear to be chosen? You know who I'm talking about, whether it's the athletes or the singers or the celebrities or whoever it is. It's because other people, a group or a mass of people, have conviction in their ability, whether it be parents or friends or their fans, and that affirms their conviction in themselves, which is a form of positive programming. I'll give you a real life example of people who have a lot of buzz around them when they're younger and they usually end up becoming great. Like Venus and Serena Williams had that conviction from their father. Lamine Yamal today has conviction from all of the fans across the world. If the conviction is strong enough, the talent is there and the work ethic there, it's usually a recipe for greatness. And this also ties into something called the observer effect. It's how your behavior changes when you know that you're being watched. And usually most of these people know that they're being watched. But ultimately, it begins in the hearts and minds of those who believe that they're truly capable. So with that being said, it's important to realize that every circumstance you're living out today is a result of your previous convictions. You have fulfilled multiple prophecies and you probably don't even realize it. I actually just did a workshop on this on self-trust where I covered A to Z on why people don't trust themselves, and on some level, you're not where you want to be because you don't have that self-trust. Because there's a difference between conscious and subconscious prophecies. It's why people consciously, and maybe even yourself, want success, but subconsciously expect failure. It's not that you're not good enough. Everyone can develop skill and ability through grit, but it usually comes down to your ability to remain consistent in execution, to not self-sabotage during the process. And that only happens because somewhere in your subconscious mind, you have told yourself that you are not good enough or you can't rely on yourself. And therefore, the best thing you can do for yourself is to find those programs that are running in your mind and untangle those beliefs and install new ones. If you want to know more about that workshop, then click the first link in the description below. It's going to take you to the landing page where I will explain A to Z what the 60-minute masterclass involves. But anyway, the point I'm trying to get across to you in this video is that you are the architects of your life, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not. I don't say that in a motivational, ironic Instagram post way. I'm saying that as a fundamental truth I've observed of reality. I can say that with my own conviction because I've studied it in other people and I've known it to be true in myself as well. Every intention and seed you plant in your mind and you water even unknowingly, will materialize and it will be fulfilled. So what can you do to build a better future knowing this now? I define mastery as closing the gap between being on autopilot and being aware. An NPC is on autopilot. They let everything run for them. They have their fate decided for them. A yogi, a sage, a prophet, or whoever you want to call it, is fully aware. They're fully conscious of every single moment of the day. And basically, we lie somewhere in the middle, and your aim should be to close that gap. I'm not saying that you have to become the Buddha or Jesus or whatever, but I am saying that you should aim for conscious engagement in everything that you do. Why? Well, because the more aware you become, the higher the chances are that you catch yourself when you're self-sabotaging, when you realize that you don't trust yourself, and the better chances you have of changing and curating your prophecies rather than letting your prophecies be decided for you. So here's the areas that you should focus your awareness on. One being the role of language and self-talk. This is something that I go over with my one-to-one clients I work with who are generally high performers. They have great businesses, they have great lives, but they have this diminishing self-talk or narrative that is running in their mind, and they don't realize what that is doing to sabotage their future success. It means becoming aware of the words and sentences that we use to describe ourselves internally. For example, instead of saying, I always mess up, you can say, I'm always learning. By doing this simple act alone, you are literally programming your prophecies. And again, like I said, the higher your awareness, the more likely it is that you can catch yourself during that negative self-talk when it is happening, rather than after it happens. By the way, if you are a high performer, a founder, a creative, or an athlete, and you want to implement the techniques of the 1% so that you can break through to the next level of your life or your business or your career, I can help you do that. So click the second link below and apply to work one-to-one with me. If you're a right fit, then I'll contact you personally and we can schedule an alignment course. Anyway, the next space you should be focusing your awareness on is media and cultural prophecy. This is how movies, the news, music, and social media plant beliefs in people. Isn't it funny how The Simpsons seem to know the future, or sci-fi movies that were made in the past are scarily real today? Well, there's no magic to this except prediction and planting seeds in the collective mind. And the less aware people are of these seeds, the more likely they are to let them guide them and therefore fulfill those prophecies and predictions. And then we're left in shock thinking, how did they know that? He must be a time traveler. Well, it was called predictive programming, and that's why you should be hyper aware of what you consume. So there are also generational prophecies. That means beliefs that are held by your family and passed down as tradition, whether that's about money, relationships, or success. And this is actually one of the main contributors to the reason people have limiting beliefs in the first place. I know this isn't me saying that you should blame your upbringing and blame your parents, because ultimately you still have free will and you still have the ability to choose and reverse this at any point. But unfortunately, most environments have negative prophecies weaved into them. Communities can collectively manifest decline or failure. Especially where I grew up, there's this term called crabs in a bucket, where if a crab is doing well and it tries to get out of the bucket, the other ones will put it down. Or tall poppy syndrome, where the tallest poppies in the field of flowers are usually cut down. It's why the term never making it out of the hood even exists. And global elites actually understand this. They don't have to physically engineer poverty. They only have to supply you the tools, the ideas, and plant the seeds, and they'll let the collective consciousness do the rest of it. And that is how you run down a country. That is how you run down a neighborhood. That is how you keep a neighborhood from thriving or a community from thriving. And this is not to get into conspiracy theories, but this is something that has been known by people who have run the country or the world since the inception of these universal laws. Anyway, I'll leave that for another day before I get. So here's the uncomfortable truth and the takeaway from this video. You are living out your prophecies right now at this very moment. But the question is, are you aware of them? See, every single day you are either reinforcing old programming or installing new ones. There is no neutral in this. Every thought you entertain, every action that you take, every word that you speak to yourself, and every piece of content that you consume is either strengthening an old prophecy or is planting seeds for a new one. See, the game of life is not to eliminate prophecies or to eliminate your programming. That's impossible. The game is to become an author of your prophecies rather than having them installed for you by other people and becoming a victim of them unconsciously. Because whether you choose to or not, the prophecy is going to fulfill itself. It always does. And instead of looking at this from a frame of fear, I actually look at it from a frame of power. It means that I am co-creating this entire experience. It means radical accountability. So whether you believe this or not, only time will tell whether the prophecies that you end up fulfilling were decided for you or they're ones that you chose yourself. That's the point of this entire video. You get to choose. That's the option. You always get to choose. And look, if you resonate with this video, then go and check out this video where I talk about this with some of my guests on my show over on my main channel. It is where I extract the lessons of people who are high performers in their fields and give you all the insights and ideas free. So I'll see you there.